on this thing.
All right. Yeah, we're good to go. Anthony Edwards, get us started.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Hey, good morning, guys.
Yeah, so you guys have had a lot of success on defense in the second half, having let opponents score in the third quarter, and outside of the Arizona game when you had your backups and didn't let any team score in the fourth quarter. How much of that you think is like a success of halftime adjustments, and are you hoping to really just like change that in the first half as well?
Yeah, that would be nice for sure. Yeah, I mean, definitely give it credit to our players and our coaches. It's not really halftime adjustments; it's in-game adjustments, and in between series. And so, Coach K and the rest of the defensive staff, they do an excellent job of getting our players ahead of the plays that we're seeing. And those two opponents did a really nice job of doing some things that have hurt us. And but I think we've also done a really good job of responding and making sure that those plays don't continue to hurt us during the game. And I think that's what you've been able to see.
All right, Lars, and then Chris. Go ahead, Lars.
Hey, Coach, I saw that Cooper McDonald is officially listed on the two deeps. Just kind of what have you seen from him in the first three games, and what has allowed him to have such an early impact as a freshman?
Yeah, it was really the confidence that he showed, and he showed us as coaches during training camp, making a bunch of plays, and you could just kind of tell he just had that vibe about him that this game wasn't too big for him, and he was ready to be able to produce and get some results for us. So when guys show that and they know what they're doing schematically and fundamentally, we're going to give those guys more reps and more reps. And it's really always difficult for the lines, the D line, and also the offensive line to play early. And so I am really, really happy with the development of Cooper McDonald and Savell Smalls.
All right, Chris Fetters, and then Mike Vorel. Go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, I was the intellectual brutality thing with Stanford, something that's always interested me. And in talking to some of the Stanford people that I know this week, they feel like that's kind of been missing since the best Shaw teams and the best Stanford teams, 5, 7 years, 8 years ago. And I was wondering if you feel like there's any truth to that, especially when you see some of the numbers, like their run defense numbers and things. It doesn't feel like it adds up to what Stanford has done really well in the past.
Yeah, we have a bunch of respect for Stanford and the way they play football, and this is always one of the most physical teams that we play year in and year out, especially in the North. We play these guys every single year. We watch the film and we see a physical team in all three phases. And, obviously I'm not down there with their program day in and day out. I don't know, if they have any issues that you're speaking of, Chris, but I know this, the film we watch, they're physical in the run game on both sides of the ball. They're physical in special teams. They enjoy having big personnel, through their lines. And we know that this will probably be the most physical game of 2020 on Saturday afternoon.
All right, Mike Vorel, then Dan Raley. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, Jimmy, we've seen Dylan make some plays moving specifically to his left where he's able to kind of escape the pocket or just create time for himself. The K-Dot and go-ahead score being one of them. I'm wondering, people may not think that when they look at him, but how does he work and operate in creating time for himself and resetting the pocket and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, big time credit to Dylan Morris, obviously being able to see the field and in those certain situations, be able to buy time. And just like you mentioned, moving to his left to hit Cade for the game winner. And then against Arizona, he had Ty Jones on a big conversion, and Ty Jones made a big catch there. But it really goes back to fundamentals. And Coach John Donovan, I see those drills every single day. I saw them in training camp. They will have defensive players go up into his face, and he's got to see the pocket, rip through the pocket, and move laterally left to right. And it's really cool when you're able to see a drill in practice and then show up in a practice clip against our defense, and then now transitions over to the game. And that's what we always talk about. Practice execution becomes game reality. And I think Coach Donovan's done a fantastic job with that quarterback room.
All right, Dan Raley, then Christian. Go ahead, Dan.
Jimmy, Zion is on a statistical tear, almost like a Ken Griffey Jr. hitting 7 home runs in a game. I know the fans are all talking about it. Stanford may come out and triple team him and prevent him from getting any sacks, but are you over and above being the coach, are you curious to see what he can keep doing from a stat end of it?
Yeah, I mean, we're obviously very pleased with his production, and you're right, Dan. This is he's on a hot streak right now, to say the least. I don't know if I've seen a 3-game stretch with that stat line, with the forced fumbles, the sacks, the fumble recoveries, the tackles, and he's come to work every single week, even after all the accolades, the players of the week, and the production. He just comes right back to work. And I can tell Husky Nation, everybody, he came back to work this week again. Just went back down, figure out what the game plan is, what moves he's going to use this week that we feel are going to give him the best shot to get to the quarterback and also to stop the run. He's come back to work. And as long as he shows up on Saturday with the right mindset, we're hoping we see the same type of results.
All right, we'll take 4 more. Christian, Kim, Lars, Maz. Go ahead, Christian.
Hey, Jimmy, with this being senior day, I know we've seen recently like Elijah and Keith Taylor have accepted Senior Bowl invites. Is there anybody else who is planning to move on, and anybody who is planning to come back next year for that extra year?
Yeah, it's such an interesting time. There's the 2 guys that you mentioned. I think it's fair to say that they'll be moving on. They've played a lot of football around here, made some big time plays for this program. And then, I think there's still decisions to be made. In fact, there's going to be some seniors who may go through the ceremony on Saturday that maybe don't have their mind made up just yet. And we've had guys before. I think Josiah Bronson was one last year that went through the senior production and then all of a sudden was granted another year and then he came back. We've had guys go through it twice. And that, I think, is going to be the case again this year. Guys maybe do not have their full decision made just yet, just in this awkward year. And so we may have guys that go through the ceremony that come back next year. We may have guys that don't go through the ceremony, and then and then a couple of weeks from now they may decide, you know what, I am going to come back for my senior year. So don't let the senior ceremony be breaking news of who's staying and who's going.
All right, we'll go to Kim and then Lars. Go ahead, Kim.
Hey, Coach. Cool video out yesterday with Sean Vergara and his shoe company. I know he made a pair for Coach Pete. Did he make a set for you? And then also, was there a little bit of a smile on your face when you saw the 1 o'clock start, and any concern about your guys having a free Saturday night?
So first of all, we are happy that we're having a game. I could care less what time it is. We practice in the morning, so they can start at 7 a.m., 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. We don't care. And we are extremely grateful that we have a game and that our opponent is healthy and that we're healthy. Let me knock on wood as we approach the last 48 hours here. And again, fellas, you're never gonna hear me talk about game times. We have a game. We are happy to play. And to your first question, so proud of Sean Vergara. He meant so much to this program while he was here. He gave every blood, sweat, practice, preparation. Spent a lot of time down on scout defense, but then he also played special teams for us. And for him to follow his passion and use his unique artistic skills to be able to do that for a living is extremely special. The set of shoes that I wore, I actually wore one of them during my pitch for the Seattle Mariners with a Space Needle on there, and then Husky Stadium on the other one. Those are still here in the facility, and we show those off. They're I think one's in my office and one's out in our recruiting lounge. So we thank him for letting those stay here. But Sean's a special dog, and he'll always be a dog.
All right, Lars Hanson, go ahead.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of that, do you remember when Sean came in just as a freshman, because he mentioned that he'd been doing that since he was in high school? Do you just remember him ever talking about that or ever learning about that and kind of when?
His artistic skills, you're asking, Lars?
Yeah.
No, we didn't. So we had a tryout for all campus wide. It was in January, I believe, right after the season's concluded. And he went out there and we watched and we're like, whoa, this guy's in the ballpark. And you know what? I think who actually talked him into walking on, now that I'm remembering this, or coming to walk out tryout, is Kevin King. Kevin King used to play pickup basketball with him in the IMA. And I remember him telling me how athletic Sean was. And so he invited him and said, hey, you need to come to the walk-on tryout. And he went out there and sure enough, extremely athletic and smart and followed the drills. And we felt we had something where we could use him and develop him. But the artistic skills, I didn't know about that until later on when I started hearing from the players about how good he is and how talented he is. But special story, really special story.
All right, Masvita, go ahead.
Yeah. Hey, Jimmy, just going back to talking about the consistency and commitment of this team, and you gave Zion as an example, the in-game adjustments. And did you see anything from the team during the preseason that they would be so focused? Was there any aha moment you saw, and how pleased are you at their staying in the moment on each play?
Yeah, I think our whole coaching staff was extremely pleased with our training camp. We felt we practiced at a really high level. We practice a bunch of situations all the time. We all pride ourselves on running an NFL type practice, an NFL type training camp, which you have to be totally engaged in because you have to know which situation we're bouncing back and forth from. And I know our players really enjoyed training camp because they were fully engaged in every situation that we bring up, and it brought out their competitive juices. And so I think as a coaching staff, we were definitely not surprised that we're able to operate and be able to perform at a high level in some crucial situations so far.
All right, we will take one last one from Christian Caple. Go ahead, Christian.
Hey, Jimmy, you mentioned last week that because of COVID-19, you don't have any of the recruiting assistants that you typically would. I'm just curious how you compensate for that, and sort of where do those duties get assigned with having to cut up tape and get materials out and those sort of things.
Yeah, so the interesting thing is there's not a lot of film to cut up. So our recruiting hotbeds that we normally recruit from, there's no football being played in most of those spots. So you think about California, you think about Washington, Oregon, there's some select games being played in Arizona and Idaho, Montana, and of course Texas started late, and there's some tape there. So the tape that is being cut up now is from the rest of our recruiting staff. We have a recruiting staff that's here. Justin Glenn and Cornelius Washington and Brian Watkins. And so we have an unbelievable recruiting staff, and they've taken on a lot of that role to really break down some of the tapes that are out there. And, also our quality control coaches and our graduate assistants. Back in the short time ago, that was all we had was graduate assistants that would do a bunch of that work. But we miss our student interns. We cannot wait for life to get back to normal. We know they take a lot of pride in doing a lot of work for our program, and they're a big part of our recruiting efforts over the years.
All right, that'll wrap us up. Thank you, Coach. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you Saturday.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.